Welcome into a Week 11 Packers offensive breakdown. Packers come away with a win against the Giants in New York, 27-20. Yet another game where the Packers put up 27 points in a win. Obviously, this was better offense in general, putting up 27 points opposed to 7. And we'll look mostly at the pass game in this one because that was much more effective than the run, although they did try to establish the run early on in this game. So let's dive into the film and see what the Packers did. Early on, it was pretty tough. We're going to focus on Jordan Morgan here, highlighted there. And this is just a tough assignment and a missed assignment in this situation. There's nothing open downfield. Let's take a look downfield. Really not much open. Of course, you've got Wilson, who's leaking out to the opposite side. But when you've got a guy in your face, there's no way that he's going to be able to roll out, flip his hips, avoid the rush, and make an accurate throw. All right, so I'm not going to fault Love for this. Obviously, just throwing it away. But my goodness, does not look good from this angle. All right, so you can see Morgan, he's covered here. I would assume that the protection is going to be somewhat of a three-man slide here, even though you do have a play fake that you have to worry about. You're going to have this step to the right from the center. So I would assume that if that first step is going to the right and he's kind of walling off this side, that the first step should be to the right for everyone else. And Morgan just gets beat on the outside. And Lawrence is in Love's face as soon as he turns around. So, of course, he's just going to get rid of that ball. Next play, we're going to focus on Dobbs at the top of the screen. Generally, the Giants are playing a lot of man coverage throughout this one. And you'll see it at the bottom of the screen, especially. You got a little bit of a grab on Watson. But of course, you've got this play action boot, which we saw, tens of times this week. Wiley not able to make the block, but Dobbs comes open on a nice basic route. He's able to round that, and he's going to beat that corner over the middle. Love is able to find him. It's a good ball right in the hands of Dobbs, and unfortunately a big drop on a third down. So Packers receivers couldn't really get it together early on in the game, maybe adjusting to the wind, but there were about 4 or so drops very early on in this game, even interceptions that were dropped by the defense, but we'll get that in the defensive review. But nice job here by Love, making a guy miss, firing that ball accurately. So that would still be a positive play for Love, but unfortunately a negative play for the Packers. And LaFleur got pretty creative. This is the end around to Bo Melton. This was just a really nice job blocking on the outside by Fitzpatrick. A very nice gain of 15 yards, but we'll see this. There's a lot of mess up front. You're going to get a pull going one direction as if you're going to get a power play with Wilson. So you're going to get that pull. You're showing kind of this GH counter, right? You've got the guard. You've got this tight end. He's going to then spin around. And then you also have the center, Ryan, working the opposite direction. So you got a lot of movement up front. Abdul Carter gets sucked inside. Receivers get sucked inside, but then you get a lead blocker isolated. You got Sean Ryan getting out front, but of course he doesn't have the same speed. He's not going to get out front and make a big block, but really nice wrinkle by LaFleur to get 17 yards. So that would be another explosive play by this Packers offense. And of course you have Jordan Love, who gets a stinger. So you've got Malik Willis in, and you're going to have, this read option, which they were actually running with Jordan Love, right? But he's just reading this end player. He's reading number 51. If he crashes inside, if he heads towards that running back, then Malik's just going to take it and get upfield. So this is a really, really good job on a 3rd and 8. Wilson does a good job of getting vertical as if he still has the ball. So that's going to keep the attention of these backers. And Willis using that speed and getting safely out of bounds, not getting hurt. So really effective job by Malik Willis on that read option. And Jordan Love still out with that little stinger on his shoulder. You get some play action Go on a nice boot, a nice rollout. You bring in the extra lineman. You've got Darian Kennard. You got the tight end. Packers love to show duo here. You got heavy. So let's see what happens. Of course, you get play action up the middle as if it is a duo concept, right? And you got Christian Watson kind of leaking out, right? He's running, clearing inside, and then he's just going to sit down. You've got the cross heading towards the back corner, and then you've got the flat from the tight end. So Willis hopping out, sees the back of number 2. He knows that he cannot make a play, so he's just going to rip this in. That flat is covered. There's no way he's going to make it there. I thought he had a chance getting Dobbs, right? Just leading Dobbs a little bit, and that's probably the safer throw. And maybe that's where he was going, but he just takes a shot. All right, we'll slow it down. He takes that shot. Now Watson's ready for it, able to make a nice contested catch, holding on for his life. I'll watch it from the end zone angle as well, because it looks a little bit better. And we've just got Willis, play action, rolling out, and he's making that decision early on. Got eyes on Watson. Takes a shot. That's a nice ball. Getting a touchdown for the Packers. So scoring there, of course, you have the missed extra point. So it ends up only being 6-7 after this point. Our next play, we're going to focus on Watson at the bottom. This is after a big drop by Romeo Dobbs. Dobbs had a very rough game at the start, but he does turn it around, and we'll look at some of his positive plays a little bit later on. This is just going to be a speed basic, right? He's rounding that. He's getting up to about 14 yards, and that's going to be a nice completion. And this is just looks even more beautiful from the opposite side. Looking at the end zone angle, checking, making sure they get into the right play, right protection. This is just going to be a beautiful throw inside that triangle of defenders. Ball spinning sideways with the wind. You can see the ball is pointed to the right here, but it's drifting to the left. So the wind was actually a tough element in this game. But that is right on the back hip of Watson, allowing him to slow down. That way he doesn't bring himself into another defender to get him killed. So nice accurate pass by Jordan Love there. Next one, we're going to be looking at Golden. And this one, it was tough for me to tell. I don't know if this was a designed route or not. This one, it looked like Abdul Carter was a little bit offsides, but I think he's okay. He stays square. They get play action. Wilson stepping up. And then you've got room to step up for Love, but we're going to focus on Golden down here at the bottom. Breaks down in the middle, but he doesn't continue his route. And he breaks it off. And I don't know if he was anticipating that Love would try to roll up or step away like that, but it just looks like the flow of the play he would anticipate on this cross. So unless this was something that was tagged, right? Hey, we've run this rollout multiple times. This could have been something that was designed by LaFleur. Is like, hey, we've shown this play action, this rollout. We've got a cross, we've got a flat, we've got a 10-yard out, we've got a flat on the backside. So usually we follow that up with another cross, and this corner is going to bite on that. That's what happens. And then you get a nice 24-yard play, and you get a nice fist bump by LaFleur. So that is probably something that he called, probably something that he designed, is like, hey, they're going to bite on these deep crossers because they've been effective this game, and you hit them with a double move. So really well done by the Packers there. Now the Packers continue to run those rollouts, these crossing routes, and this is going to be a big completion to Dobbs. This is essentially a Tampa 2 coverage that we see. We're just going to see you've got a middle read defender here. He's just going to drop. He's going to be that middle third. And you've got 2 high safeties over the top. You got a vertical kind of clear out going in between these 2 safeties. So both of them are going to attach. And that's just going to leave Dobbs on this crossing route. That is perfectly in the clear because you have this slide route after the snap where he's going to come across and bluff and then get into the flat. So that's going to draw the attention of that flat defender on the other side. So you can see he spins around, speed turns, trying to identify where Watson is. And of course, everyone forgets except for the middle linebacker, but that is a mismatch. And just a little nice floater into Dobbs for a big gain, almost down into the 10-yard line. And we'll see it from the end zone angle as well. That play fake, the boots, moving pocket, and a nice little touch throw over the linebacker. And Dobbs able to pick up some nice yards after the catch as well. So really nice job by the Packers on that one as well. Next one was a big run by Emmanuel Wilson, obviously filling in for Josh Jacobs for this game. He had a pretty solid game overall. This, I called the play out in the game live because you hear Love, you see the adjustment at the line, right? He's calling out, he's pointing out, he's saying yellow duo, yellow duo. So he's calling out the combo block that needs to happen. And then also the run concepts. You get a duo concept, right? You get 3-on-1 here in the center. And then they're going to work to the next level. And Wilson does a really nice job of setting up this linebacker. You can see his angle. He's going to feign outside. And then you get Dobbs downfield making a nice block as well. So really nice job by Wilson, especially setting up that block or setting up that, that cutback essentially, that he doesn't end up cutting back, because that's going to clear that lane for him in the middle. So you get a 3-on-1. You get 1-on-1 here. Watson's supposed to help out on a double team, but they really cleared Lawrence out of this, so he wasn't going to make a play. You can see Wilson making that step is causing 33 to hop too far out. Dobbs making contact with that safety is just enough to get Wilson in the end zone. So really nice duo concept by the Packers. This next play kind of highlights my concerns with Ryan at center. I think for the most part, he had a decent game. And my concern going in is before he played center this last game, he only had 4 snaps in his college or NFL career at center. So I wasn't sure how easy this replacement would be. You can just see here, you're going to get bad snaps when a guy hasn't repped it a ton. Love doing his best to save it. And I really think that the Packers got away with this, because that looks like, to me, a football move. All right, because he's caught it. He's got 1-2 steps down. He takes a 3rd step, and then the ball comes out. Of course, I'm not gonna complain if the refs are saying he never had control of it, but I think it's really just because Musgrave is so awkward as an individual that it looks like he doesn't have control the entire time. But to me, he's got that tucked. And then as soon as he's making that football move to turn upfield, that's when the ball comes out. So if it was me as the ref, I'd probably call that a fumble. And luckily for the Packers, it's not, because that would have given them much better field position instead of allowing a punt. So hopefully Ryan is going to clean up these snaps a little bit. He gets a little bit taken out on this play as well, right, by a little pick. So there's not much that he can do in that situation. He's engaged, actually doing a pretty good job on Dexter Lawrence. But then he's got a 300-pound man hitting him in the side. So can't do much in that situation. There was another play that I wasn't going to put in here, but there was a play where Sean Ryan just got absolutely destroyed by Dexter Lawrence. And, that's one of the best defenders in the league. So I can kind of understand that, and I know he's probably going to hear about it on tape in a meeting this week. Here we are in the 3rd quarter. This is just going to be Watson down here at the bottom of the screen. It's going to be yet another crossing route. And this is just, hey, they're going to play man against us. We're just going to beat it with the crossers. And if we go back to the start, this pocket is very clean. We got a 2-man route. And they're playing man, so you're just going to put your fastest guy against one of their corners and hope that he's going to win that 1-on-1. And of course, he's getting over there. He's making that play, a nice 16-yard gain for the Packers. And then this is going to lead to a pass interference that Packers take a deep shot to Matthew Golden right after this. They get a pass interference, and it puts them in scoring position. So really nice job by LaFleur, actually using crossers to go against this man-heavy defense. And we get a nice legal kind of pick play here. You're going to get a counter motion, and he's just going to be leaking out into the flat. And then you've got this kind of slant, which is going to rub against this defender who's meant to be covering the tight end. So we'll let that play. He's going to shift over, and he's going to motion back. And you get a nice legal chip here because it is within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage. He's just trying to run his route. It gets used all the time across the league. So just a lob there, wide open to Wiley for a touchdown. So good execution there by Watson, again, to free up his teammate, and a nice touchdown to put the Packers in the lead 19-13. I got a little bit worried at this time in the game. It's fourth quarter, 5 minutes left, 6 minutes left, 3rd and 10. You just took a deep shot to Golden, and it wasn't successful. You had a few deep shots where the Giants are having these long, sustained drives, and then you've got the Packers offense, which is just taking deep shots and potentially getting a 3 and out. But this is a really nice job by Savion Williams. Huge play. But pay attention to the pocket as well. Looking at the offensive line, you got essentially a 5-man rush. You got a tight end working on Brian Burns, the NFL sack leader, right? Making it easier for Tom, but up front, that is solid, right? There's nothing coming through. You have a double team on Lawrence. Love hit with his typical fadeaway. And Savion Williams coming down with it for 33 yards. So a huge play for the Packers to put them into scoring position. This play I thought was questionable in terms of the call. I could see why they call it as a hold, but to me, this is not a hold. It looks like he just gets leverage because he's bending his shoulder. He's dipping to the inside. There's no way that he's going to make a play based on where he put himself. So I don't think that this, block is a hold that gives the Packers an unfair advantage. Of course, I am a Packers fan. I'm going to be a little bit biased, but to me, I think that isn't worthy of a hold because Abdul Carter put himself in a losing position. All right, so there should be no reason for the ref to throw a flag there. And we'll watch it from this angle as well. He slides so far inside. He does this himself. Before there is contact, he's all the way in the inside. His body is facing the wrong direction of the runner, and I don't think he's going to slide through and make a play. Right? I can see why they call it, but of course, he kind of put himself in that position, which made it tough for that tight end, Wiley, to make that block. So what could have been a nice 15-yard run ends up getting called back and putting the Packers into 1st and 20. Then we're going to focus on Dobbs in this one. Again, as I said, he turned it around, and this is going to be a nice heads-up play. You got speed rush on the outside, and there's going to be a lane for Love to step up. So he's going to step up. He's going to stay behind that line of scrimmage, and Dobbs does a nice job of just spinning around and being ready for the ball, getting some yak as well. All right, turns that 1st and 20 into a 2nd and 7, so it doesn't hurt the Packers too much having that holding call if you're able to get 13 yards on that play. And then that's obviously going to set up this shot here at the bottom. You're going to get a shock concept. You're just going to get this locked hitch, and then you're going to get this chop kind of fade release back to the back corner. And this is just going to be a really nice job. You can see he's alerting. He knows he's going to have man coverage. A little bit of a high snap again, right? High snap from Sean Ryan. Talked about his snaps. You can see this is just a really nice job by Christian Watson. Really don't think that he should be throwing it here in this situation. Watson just goes up and makes a play. All right, so that's a really nice job. I think that little hitch route is open underneath. And it looks like you have this dig route and a a spot route. So you've got essentially a bow concept. So you're going to have an arrow and then a basic on that top. I think there are other spots that Love could have gone on this play, but Watson does a hell of a job of going up and getting that and making a touchdown out of it. So a nice 17-yard touchdown catch for Watson, and we'll watch it from the end zone angle as well. See the swirling flags on top of the posts. So a risky play, high pointed by that 6'4" receiver. A really nice play to put the Packers in front. And then you have a 2-point play that's going to be coming up right afterwards. All right, here we go. 2-point play. I don't think this was necessarily the cleanest. All right, and we look across the board. You essentially have this clear out where he's going to be, running the back line of the end zone after he clears everything out. You have Golden crossing. You're going to have a delay kind of, back into the play here on a slant. Then you've got what looks like an angle route. So one of these two, right? One of these two down here must have messed up because they're both in the same spot roughly at the same time. And Wilson's just going to use that speed to get out in front. And he's able to make a nice play with the backer on his shoulder for a 2-point conversion. So it makes it 27-20 and gives the Packers the win, essentially. And we'll watch it just real quick from the end zone angle. See a little bit of a delayed release. Good accuracy there in front of that defender. Wilson able to make that catch, put the Packers up 27-20. All right, so overall for this Packers offense, it was a decent day, efficient. 168 passing yards, which isn't a lot. 128 team rushing yards, so at least over 100 team rushing yards. Their top two rushers both had 40 yards, Emmanuel Wilson and Josh Jacobs. So they did try to establish the run. You had 23 runs as opposed to 26 passes, so trying to stay balanced. And this definitely could have been a bigger game had the defense converted on some of their turnovers, right? 4 dropped interceptions. And then you also have, the drops on offense. So just a lot of drops all around on both sides that could have made this game a blowout. I know it's not the most exciting game, 27-20 against a 2-9 team, but at least they're coming away with a win after 2 rough weeks on offense. And the offensive line looked better. Overall, in terms of pass protection, it seemed like things were cleaned up. And this was a really good Giants defensive line. And they did a very good job, right? Gave up a couple sacks. But other than that, they were pretty solid. So let's hope they can continue to trend upward. And maybe this move to center for Sean Ryan is actually a good thing. And it can build his confidence because he's not constantly being switched out of the lineup. So I will see you in the next video. Obviously have the defense video coming out tomorrow. The playbook series continuing on Friday. And of course, we'll have another breakdown next week for the Week 12 game as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.